So welcome to the keynote address, Fadi. We're extremely proud and happy to have you. For those of you who don't know you, let me give a short introduction, although I think most of the people joining today know very well who you are. And then I'll give you the floor. During our conversation, people can ask questions. They will appear on our screen. So feel free to also pitch into their questions with your answers. But anyway, let me first introduce you properly on this last day of our online conference. Fadi Ghandour, who was born in 1959. You're known as entrepreneur, as investor, philanthropist, all-rounder. Currently the executive director of the Wamda Group, a platform that builds, invests in entrepreneurship ecosystems across the Middle East, North Africa, Turkey, East Africa. And of course, many people still know you from your time as a founder of Aramex, which became the first Arabic country to be listed on a US stock exchange. Also, and I recently had the honor to listen to a presentation that you gave on that work. You're chairman of the Ruwad for Development Foundation, private sector led, but a community empowerment platform. And I think that's very inspiring that you dedicate your time to giving back to society in this way. But anyway, without further ado, maybe to give the floor to you and to ask you maybe to kick off with, what in your view is COVID posing for challenges to SMEs, but also what are the opportunities that you are witnessing?
Thank you very much, Yannick. It is such an honor and such a pleasure to be with you and with our friends at SPARK. And you're also doing fantastic work and very inspiring work, helping all sorts of entrepreneurs and people that need to find a way for themselves to create an impact on the ground wherever they are. So I appreciate that very much, and that's why I'm here with you, actually. So let me speak very briefly about what I think is happening in this COVID crisis and post-COVID, and this is all mostly in the context of our region. It could apply to other regions of the world, but here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that and I'll talk about startups in the digital space, and I'll talk about SMEs. So to start with, this has been a massive blow for all businesses. So I mean, this doesn't take a genius to discover that. And specifically the guys that are in the small and medium-sized enterprises. I think what happened is, because it is so unprecedented, because it's so fast, it is so shocking, that governments in emerging markets and in our region took them a while to appreciate how much this is going to affect SMEs. And SMEs, as you know, are mostly the majority job creators in the region. They are also the most vulnerable because they live practically on a month-to-month basis or on the short period cash flows. So if cash flows are disrupted for a couple of months, then you are basically sucking the oxygen out of their existence. And so they won't be able to survive. These are not people and companies that will save over for the long run. I mean, these are not people that are equipped to be ready for the long run. But and so there needs to be a very serious thinking and a very serious plan from governments of how to actually become the cushion of these SMEs so that they can carry them over a short period of time. These are people that are innovative, they're creative, they will come back, they will be able to carry themselves forward as the world comes back to as much as possible in terms of normalcy. And it will take some time, but what's needed is for the DFIs, for the agencies, for governments to actually find a place for these people to be cushioned for 3-4 months until they're able to have some sort of of an income, back to being productive, back to doing their own thing and generating their own income. They really are very proud people. So they're not. It's not a handout here. Really, this is a strategic view of countries. This is about the well-being of a country. I mean, these are people that create maybe 3 to 10 jobs per company. These are hundreds of thousands of companies. And these are the people that are going to be the consumers. I mean, economies are going to depend on them, not only for creating jobs, but for actually being the people that actually consume. And so, and they're part of the cycle of productivity in any country, and you can't ignore them. In fact, this is when governments and cities and agencies should step in and help. It also could say that there is a place for the private sector to step in, but the problem with the private sector at this stage, it's also even the big institutions in the region have also been shut down, and so everybody suffers at different degrees. And I don't want to compare the small guy with the big guy that gets hit, but we need, this is testing us and testing society and testing policymakers. I can't claim to know what needs to be done completely, but I can know that if you don't step in to help them, then you're going to have a big chunk of these businesses that actually will shut down for a very long period of time, and they will be unable to come back. So there needs to be ways of thinking about it, rather than only saying, let's delay loans that banks are offering these people for another 6 months. This is important, but it's not only about delaying loans or availing loans, but it's about creating that cushion that supports these companies because they're not being productive now. So it's not as if they're selling 10% of their original sales. They've been shut down completely, and their business model is being in question today. So if somebody owns a restaurant, Yannick, as you know, and he's going to be told that you're going to be able to have to only accommodate 50% of your of your client base, and you're paying all sorts of costs for a bigger capacity, and then what happens? So you're telling that what's happening with COVID is the whole business models are being tested, and then the whole value chain in the business models need to be reviewed. You can't only punish the business owner in this process. So it needs to have the real estate owner, it needs to have government, it needs to have suppliers, it needs to have everyone. If you are saying the economy can only operate on a capacity of 50 or 60 or 70%, then the costs have to follow exactly in the same mode. You can't tell people you're going to have to pay the same costs, but your capacity can be at 50%. So this is one big observation for me, and it's testing everyone, and if they don't step up very quickly, we're gonna have a big problem. So that's one side of the story for SMEs, and I'm afraid it doesn't look good now. So I as much as I would want to inspire, it doesn't look super good. Number two is it gets us all, even the bricks and mortar people, small or big. It also tested the business models of past. So, which means if you haven't digitized, if you don't have a presence online, no matter who you are, if you're an education system, if you're a doctor, if you are a pharmacy, if you are selling anything in a shop, if you are not in the digital space, you've missed a big opportunity. And what this is telling everyone, and this is where the opportunity is, and this is where the silver lining is that the region, not only the region, probably globally, the lesson here is you've got to be, you can't be only in one marketplace, which is the offline marketplace. In the 21st century, the online marketplace, the digital marketplace, and the offline marketplace have to go together. If not, and you have a choice, then you should be only online and not offline. This is my other message here. So if you are offline, you should rush. And I think what this is doing is putting everyone on an accelerated mode. Everyone from policymakers to retailers to doctors to healthcare operators to educators. They are all on an accelerated mode. those who thought they can wait out to become digitally enabled were caught off guard, and they're paying heavily for it. And so suddenly they all have to rush now in COVID. But this is not now only in COVID. This is now so that you become competitive and stay for the long run relevant. And relevance is the name of the game today in everything. Relevance in being relevant to the marketplace, being relevant with your skill set. Everything is about relevance. But so what I'm seeing now is also everyone is rushing towards that. And so if you had asked me maybe in January, and I am, as you know, I am one that talks about, you need to be digitized all the time. And if you asked me in January, I would have told you in 3 to 5 years, the region would have, it's a must to be online education. It's a must to be, to have health tech. It's a must to be fintech enabled, etc. Now, everyone that's waiting and taking their time and leisure and thinking about it, this is done. The COVID basically changed and taught us the strategy and told us, forget strategy, forget thinking about these things. You go out and do it now, because it's written in very big words and it's ringing the bells, and the alarm bells are everywhere. And so the rush to digitization across the board in everything. And I think we need to get used to it. So business models are changing massively, Yani. So universities and schools, if they think, in my view, and I am putting out a challenge here, if they think they're going to come back to business as usual when they think there is a normalcy post-COVID, they are delusional. They don't know what is happening. People have discovered and have been enabled and have been stuck with learning online and discovering online and pulling what they want online. And so the question mark is why? I'm talking about education now. The question is going to become, why do I need to pay so much money to get so much to get a degree or to get a course, when I am going to be able to either find it much cheaper online, and not only find it much cheaper, but find the best professor on earth that is going to teach it online, and I am going to be able to pick and choose what I want to learn and not have the school and the university shove down my throat a specific subject that I don't want to be part of. So everybody is being challenged, and we need to review. So rush to digitization. Policymakers have to catch up to it in everything. Policymakers in education, central banks in fintech, in health tech. Everybody has to match the speed of digitization. You can't be on the speed of the 20th century, sitting in a car or on a train waiting to get to a place when the world is moving in 5G speed, right? So I am an 18-year-old. I'm moving in 5G speed. I am digitally native. I don't know anything that is offline. I don't know what offline means. I am only a digital guy or a gal, and I only use my phone to get my information, and I don't need anything else. So the challenge is, get this guy who's 18 years old or 15 years old, talk to them and understand what makes them tick, because they're the future generation of learners, job creators, entrepreneurs, our citizens. These are the people that are creating the future. And so how do we match what they need? So if I'm a 60-year-old and my brain still thinks in the 20th century, I either have to move aside and get someone that thinks 21st century, or I have to also put myself on this very fast conveyor belt so that I am digitally enabled, whoever I am. And so I carry my institution, whether I'm a policymaker, whether I'm a manager or a university president, etc., and I'll say, I want to be relevant, and here's how I'm going to be relevant. So there is a silver lining, meaning there is a loss of jobs now, as you know, and I'll finish now so that I'll continue that conversation and discussion with you. The people are losing jobs. There's no question about it. And it's not going to be a V-shaped. So in the traditional economy, what I think is going to be a V-shaped, and also I'm putting myself on the challenge here. What's V-shaped is the opportunity in digitization. So if you're young if you're studying now, if you're just about to graduate, if you just graduated, then the opportunity is going to be in a V shape, in a hockey stick shape, in taking and digitizing what hasn't been digitized. So the people that are relevant, who are digitally capable and digitally capable of actually, or having the skill set and the knowledge and the depth to actually digitize, the opportunity is going to be massive. So there's going to be a permanent job loss for the bricks and mortar world, and there is going to be a massive job opportunity for the digitally metamorphosed world from bricks and mortar to digital. So it will take some time, so it will dip a little bit, but then we will go online. Even if Corona comes back, or because we are digitally enabled, then Corona will not affect us in technically. So even if other Coronas come to visit us years down the road, the minute we are completely digitally enabled by being locked down, and so the economic cycle continues until we are able to find ways to exist outside with these new 21st century humanly created problems. I mean, Corona is a human issue. It is, again, back to the sustainability of the world. I mean, these are issues that are 21st century, and they need to be faced in a 21st century way. And my last point here, and very short one, is imagine our world, Yannick, imagine our world if we did not have the internet. Imagine our world if we did not have these young entrepreneurs in the Middle East who actually built the digital landscape on a small scale. These are people that very few came out and said, I'm going to build the last mile, I'm going to be in e-commerce, I'm going to be in online education, and people were not investing in them heavily. The private sector was investing in them heavily. There were few VCs that were investing in them heavily. Imagine how we would have existed if the last mile companies and the people that enabled us to consume online would have existed if that did not happen. We had our groceries delivered, we had our medicine delivered, we were able to learn online, and we were able to accommodate ourselves while being shut down for a month or 60 or 80 days or whatever it is in this virus. So the future is already here. It just needs to expand and be adopted across society. And specifically, the biggest people that need to wake up for this are the policymakers and the people that have influenced the 20th century economy. They need to come and visit us here in the 21st century economy. And that's my opening salvo with you.
Well, thank you, Fadi. You never disappoint with an amazing presentation. I think this is a wake-up call. I mean, you're describing not just incremental change, but what you're describing is the full, total disruption of a system of digitalization.
It has arrived. Everybody has. If you read, if you go to the past 2-3 years, Yannick, as you know, and you are one of us, if you go to the past 3, 4, even 10 years, everybody was talking about the disruption. Well, it took its time, but Corona actually brought it all the way suddenly in 1 month. Everything that we thought was going to happen over 10 years, Corona gave it to us in 1 month. It's a tsunami.
Yeah. So that's actually then also maybe part of the opportunity, and maybe in a moment we can switch to that, or maybe let's do it now. So when you describe digitalization, and we're supporting across the region, and I think many of the folks now listening in and later reviewing this are working in supporting startups, growing SMEs. At SPARK, we're getting so many phone calls from companies that are undergoing this disruptive phase. And yes, they're describing the cash flow problems that you're pointing to. But indeed, many of them are investing now in digitalization and trying to not miss that boat. So, I mean, what kind of concrete advice would you give, let's say, the thousands of young entrepreneurs? I mean, both domestic entrepreneurs, but also the guys and girls in really tough positions, the refugee entrepreneurs in the MENA region. Where do they start? Where do they go? How do they adjust? Any concrete advice and tips?
Yeah, I mean, look, when So this is a new frontier, right? A new frontier, and we're lucky in this new frontier is that we've seen the future in trickles. So we don't know, we know how it can look like because we are living in it in small pockets here and there. We've seen it. We live it. We do a little bit of education online. We do a little bit of shopping online. We do a little bit of health tech online. We do a little bit of payments online here and there, right? So the seeds of this story are there. They're only now, the difference is they're only now 10% of the economy. We have 90% of the economy. So the region, it does, I don't know, in the most optimistic way in the Middle East, the region does 5% of what it's purchasing online. And so there is in the past 2 years, studies tell you the region consumes about $450 billion every year in retail. $450 billion. And if it's only 5% of it is online, and so look at the opportunity. And I'm only talking about the easy things that I can think about now. So and think about the education system. So what I tell the young entrepreneurs is come up with relevant products that are fixing the problems that the offline world is not fixing in a post-corona world. So think about everything that we do from the minute we wake up as citizens until we sleep. What do we do? How do we consume? How do we get educated? How do we learn? How do we get entertained? How do we get our health checked? Etc., etc. Solve for these problems. And don't get discouraged that somebody else did it. It's not relevant if somebody else did it. If you can do it better, then go out and do it. And then the world is big. There's 7 billion people here. You have to remember also that 3 billion people are still not online. I mean, look at the opportunity. And they will become online. And so the opportunity is still massive. So everything that we're saying in terms of the revolution of online and mobile revolution is only half of the world. So imagine when the other half is going to jump on board, and it will be like electricity. If you had asked 100 years ago about electricity, they'll tell you maybe 50% or 30% of homes were electrified. And now suddenly everything is electrified. Can you think of a house that's not electrified? No. Well, you need to think about this also in an accelerated manner where everybody is going to become digitally enabled with a mobile. So you'll be physically, you as a mobile human being, you will be digitally enabled through your mobile phone and devices that are around you. So there are opportunities, and that's what I would say to anyone now. The relevance is you need to be digitally enabled, you need to find solutions for these, you need to come up with products, and there will be a lot of money. The lucky thing in this story is there will be a lot of new money that is going to come in. The World Bank is going to think about it. The aid agencies are going to think about it. The DFIs are going to, the IFCs of this world, the EBRDs of this world, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, governments now. So this is the time. This is the time for entrepreneurship, because these young people that are graduating now are the people that understand this space more than anyone else. They don't have to unlearn and relearn. They are already in the mix of it. So you don't have to dump old knowledge because it's irrelevant. You are the new knowledge. And with the new knowledge that you have, then you're going to create the new economy. I mean, that's the message that I would say. So you need to think what's relevant. You need to see what needs to be solved. You need to see what can be improved in a new product and go out and do it.
Okay, now that's very inspiring. And maybe in a moment you can give some examples that you're seeing now around you, because I saw on your LinkedIn you're giving already a couple of examples here and there of inspiring stories. But before we go there, we have 2.5 minutes left. One very interesting question also came in from Mazen. We know him well. We're working with him also in Libya. Benghazi, after the fall of Gaddafi, setting up a business center. I think he was a hero, building up a business center right after the fall there. So he's asking, yes, you're pointing out a very important role of the government in supporting its SMEs during and after the crisis. But, and I think that's a very good question, like how do you think governments across the MENA, which for most are lagging behind, can become a catalyst, and now I'm just interpreting the question, instead of slowing it down. I mean, in Iraq, online education is not allowed. We were stopped last year to start some of it because the minister told us, wait, we don't have a law for it. So how do we get this government to come across and move?
The future of government is already here, Yannick. You can come to the UAE, and I have to say this. Allow me. I live in the UAE. I live in Dubai. Smart government is here. I don't have to leave my house to get every single government service through this mobile phone. So the Arab world in Baghdad, in Damascus, in Cairo, or in Benghazi cannot have an excuse of not having their online services. It's there, it's cheap, and it's doable. So you need to become relevant to your citizens, and how you become relevant in citizens is in easing their lives. I mean, that's what government's job is. The government's job today and every day is easing the life of the citizens. They're there to solve the problems of citizens and to serve the citizens. So you cannot tell me in Iraq that online education is illegal. I mean, give me a break, really. I mean, really give me a break. Who cares about that policy maker in Iraq who says it's not legal? Because I'm going to go online, Mr. Policymaker in Iraq. I'm going to get my education, and I am going to learn much better than others, because it's already out there. Whether you policymaker allow it or you don't allow it, it is already happening. We're already there. We're already getting the education. So it is your job as a policymaker to catch up to where we are as citizens, to become relevant and to conduct your job as you need to.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I saw the time is ending, and I don't want to bite into the next session where we have a bunch of very inspiring folks talking about the subject as well, including from Jusur. I think you know them well, the Syrian business people for Syrians in the region that we do a lot of work with. And yeah, looking forward to work more with you. And we'll see you soon, hopefully. Inshallah.
Thank you, Yannick.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.